Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City is a revolutionary coaster. Some could even say it's ahead of its time. This was the world's first Mack extreme spinning coaster, and it was a record breaker. When it opened in 2018, this was the world's tallest, fastest, and steepest complete circuit spinning roller coaster. It also had the most inversions of any spinning coaster with 3 in total. Many of those records are going to be broken by Plopsaland Japan's Ride to Happiness in 2021, which is another Mack extreme spinning coaster. But Time Traveler is still a fantastic ride. And in this video, I will explain what makes Time Traveler so great. Time Traveler represents the final stage in the evolution of the spinning coaster. And in many ways, it was a litmus test. You see, the early spinning coasters weren't particularly intense. You had Virginia reels in the early 1900s, which were wooden wild mice. Almost all these coasters became extinct, and today only one remains in the Tyrolean tub twist in England. The spinning coaster seemed dead for a while until multiple manufacturers revived it in the 1990s. These include Zaire, Intamin, Reverchon, and for the sake of this story, Mack. Mack's first spinning coaster was Euromir at their own Europa Park in 1997. Unlike the other spinners that had free spinning cars, Euromir had a controlled spin that would only take place during the ride's slower sections. The spinning would cease before the large drops and fast twists. Throughout the 2000s, more companies started developing spinning coasters, including Zamperla, Fabry, Mauer, and Gerstlauer. These manufacturers offered spinning coasters that were either spinning wild mice or comparable in size. And in 2007, Mack built their first free spinning coaster in Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's Berry Farm, which was similar in size. But the next major development in the push for a thrilling spinning coaster was Gekion Live Coaster at Tokyo Joypolis. This was an odd Gerstlauer spinner that combined a motion-based dark ride in the first half with a spinning coaster in the second half. And that second half started with a launch into an inline twist, making it the first spinning coaster to invert riders. But it did so with an unimpressive top speed of just 24 miles per hour or 38.5 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, Mack had bigger and bolder plans. In late 2015, Mack decided to try one of their free spinning cars on Europa Park's Bluefire. And it was certainly intriguing to see what a spinning coaster would be like on a coaster with launches and full-size thrill elements. Mack was clearly impressed, and they began offering the extreme spinning coaster model. And the first buyer was Silver Dollar City, a park who was clearly not afraid to take risks with brand new ride concepts. Just look at how they installed the first Premier Rides liquid coaster in Buzzsaw Falls in 1999, or the first Rocky Mountain Construction Topper Track wooden coaster in Outlaw Run in 2013. But there would be one key difference with Time Traveler compared to the other spinners. I commonly hear Time Traveler spin referred to as a controlled spin, but I don't quite think that's the right term. Some other spinning coasters will control your exact position at each instance on the ride. That's what Euromir did. On Time Traveler, you have what I call a regulated random rotation. The cars can still rotate randomly and freely, but the rate of spin is regulated by a brake. Unlike some spinning coasters where you can really start spinning like a top, that can't happen on Time Traveler. The ride will not let you spin fast enough, but you can spin non-stop with enough of a weight distribution. But when you have an exciting layout like Time Traveler, that's really all you need. And it adds a unique twist to the ride, literally. This coaster is a bunch of elements we're familiar with, such as launches, overbanks, vertical loops, and airtime hills, just to name a few of the things that Time Traveler offers. But we are not familiar with taking these elements sideways or backwards, or even spinning throughout the element. And it's random which direction you'll be facing for all these elements. This makes them quite disorienting, and it can result in some really odd sensations and visuals. And since no two rides are identical, it gives Time Traveler a lot of re-ride value. Now, as a coaster enthusiast with an iron stomach, I do hope to try an extreme spinner with a free spin one day, but that's just a pipe dream of mine. I know how much vomit that would cause for the average guest. Along with the records and innovative ride system, Time Traveler is also noteworthy for its theme. as you can probably tell from the name, Time Traveler is themed to time travel. Normally, you'd expect a theme like this to have a futuristic or sci-fi aesthetic, but Silver Dollar City found a way to tastefully incorporate the theme into their 1880s themed park. And the park also wanted to continue upon their mentality that the good guys always win. The ride's premise is that Charles Henry, an inventor and clockmaker, becomes fascinated by the passage of time. He views every passing second as another chance to make the world a better place. So with the motto "Dream big, do good," Henry sets out to build a time machine to make the future a better place. Now the ride itself doesn't really have any theming alongside the course, but the build up to the ride sure does. It starts with the elaborate sign. It dominates the ride's entrance plaza with its spinning pedals and the loud ticking sounds. The queue line will bring you into Henry's Watch Factory, which is a massive 3-story building that houses both the ride's queue line and station. The first level is an endless series of switchbacks, but I've never had to wait in that section of the queue line, thankfully. The second level does have a lot to look at though. You have blueprints on the wall and a series of ornate watches hanging from the ceiling. And these visuals are matched by a neat soundtrack that plays slow, country renditions of popular songs with time in the name, such as Time After Time or If I Could Turn Back Time. But whenever a train dispatches, this soundtrack is interrupted by a booming ding-dong. And then all eyes will peer out the window at this wonderful ride. Time Traveler is an elusive coaster, and your best view of the ride actually comes from the windows in the queue line itself. And one of the most striking things about this ride is how compact it actually is. The ride crosses over itself a dozen times, and the track keeps threading itself over and over again. The end of the second floor has a grouper who will batch riders and assign you a row. Silver Dollar City will take seating requests though, and I cannot emphasize this enough. Request the back. Every time. You will thank me later. The third floor is home to the station, and it looks incredible. You have giant, working gears in the ceiling, and they complement the ride vehicles perfectly. These vehicles have a steampunk vibe to them, with their styling and the dazzling light-up displays. Once seated, the ride automatically will lower and check your restraints at the press of a button. It's a really efficient system for the operators, and it often leads to fast dispatches. If you're familiar with any of the Mack launch coasters or their mega coasters, Time Traveler basically has those seats and restraints just bolted to a spinning coaster chassis. And I love these trains. They are super comfortable, and the lap bars are great. They do come down tight, but they don't hurt, and because your upper body is free, you are still able to experience the hang time and airtime that this ride offers. And the airtime starts right away. Time Traveler's maximum height is 100 feet, or 30.5 meters, and you actually achieve this height in the station itself, since that station is perched atop a hill. So when you're dispatched, you start with a 95-foot tall vertical plunge down the hillside. And this is one of the single greatest drops on any roller coaster. The drop is the main reason why you want to be sitting in the back. Because of the extremely tight crest, you are violently thrown over this drop if you're in that back car. And you don't catch up with your seat until you hit the ground. This is some of the best sustained ejector airtime anywhere. And that would be the case even if you took this drop forwards, but you usually take it on your side. Time Traveler starts spinning once you're dispatched, and you usually have a half rotation by the time you crest this drop, and the spin continues as you're free falling. So that ejector airtime feels even crazier. If you're in row 7, you will turn away from the direction of travel, so it feels like you're dropping on your back. If you're in row 8, you turn in the direction of travel, so you are thrown forwards a bit while experiencing that incredible airtime. I can't decide which I prefer. This drop always leaves me breathless, and it's one of the best drops in the world because of the strength of the airtime and the bizarre orientations in which you experience it. This drop leads into a slow dive loop, and you get some great hang time at the top of this element. And your vehicle is usually continuing the spin from the first drop, so it's extremely disorienting. For a long time, I thought this element was a 0G roll because I couldn't tell which direction you left the element. The pullout from this dive loop pulls some decent positive Gs, and then you twist towards the first launch. But before the first launch, you come to a dead halt. Now, this is one of the more controversial parts of Time Traveler. The rumor is that there was supposed to be a show scene, but the park ran out of money since this ride already cost a whopping $26 million, making it the park's largest investment ever. While this does disrupt the pacing of the ride, it does promote spinning. When you brake, the deceleration often causes your vehicle to start turning even faster. And when you launch, you tend to continue that spin. So while the launch itself is weak in terms of power, this is a typical Achilles heel of any Mack launch coaster. The spin causes some unique centripetal forces. That's followed by a giant overbank. You really slow down at the top, so you get some lateral hang time if you're facing the ground or on your side. You then dive back down the hill and traverse a giant vertical loop. Like the prior element, you travel through the top of this loop in slow-mo, so you get some hang time up there. And the elongated nature of this element almost guarantees you have enough time to rotate through it, which is a really disorienting feeling. The base of the loop offers a solid dose of positive G's, and then you are yanked over an S-hill. This is a very violent burst of ejector airtime, especially since there's a good chance you'll experience it sideways, or backwards. And at the same time, the twist on the hill offers a jolt of laterals too. This element is the most underrated part of the ride. And as a whole, Time Traveler is an immaculately smooth ride, but I have noticed this one element has a shuffle to it, with the aggressiveness and quick change of direction. This S-hill is followed by a high-speed, low-to-the-ground turn with some sustained positive G's, and then you soar through a zero-G roll. These are usually one of the slower and more graceful inversions out there, but this is oddly the fastest inversion on the ride. You don't get as much hang time as the first two inversions, and in many ways it feels more like you're doing a front flip or a back flip. And you lose all sense of direction because there's a good chance you'll spin through it from the momentum of the previous turn. You then bank up the hill, getting some faint positive G's before popping down to the second launch. If you're in the back, you will get a quick pop of airtime here. You then hit the second launch, which feels like a speed boost. It's really just there to get you back atop the hill and back to the station. Like the first launch, it's not forceful on its own, but it can offer centripetal force since you spin through it sometimes. You then go through another overbank, and much like the first one, it gives some nice lateral hang time if you're on your side or facing downwards. And then you cruise into the brake run, ending your journey through time. One thing I want to touch on is the ride's pacing. I think it's strong overall. The one dead spot is the turn after the dive loop and the pause before the first launch. The ride's intensity is uneven though, as it spikes significantly higher on the first drop and the S-hill than the rest of the ride. That last part doesn't really bother me, but I could see it being an issue for others if the lateral hang time on the overbanks or the centripetal force-based launches aren't your cup of tea. I also want to mention night rides on this coaster are a bit different than I expected. Many of Silver Dollar City's coasters are revered for giving pitch black night rides. While the night rides on Time Traveler are great, they don't get significantly better. The launch tracks are illuminated, and since most of the ride wraps around them, the course is brighter than the park's other coasters at night. So what would I rate Time Traveler? I would give this coaster a 9 out of 10. This is easily my favorite spinning coaster. The coaster has some amazing elements that are made even better by the spinning. I love the first drop, the S-hill, and the inversions in particular. The ride also has a unique layout, and the bizarre sensations make it an extremely enjoyable experience you can't really get on other coasters. Plus the theming is just icing on the cake. While Outlaw Run is my favorite ride in the park, Time Traveler is a great sidekick, and I can't wait to see more of these extreme spinning coasters open elsewhere. So those are my thoughts on Time Traveler, the fantastic spinning coaster at Silver Dollar City. What are your thoughts on Time Traveler? Have you ridden this coaster? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.